Hello, and welcome to the Exit Counseling and Loan Repayment webinar. My name is Erica Lambert, and I'm the Financial Literacy and Outreach Coordinator here at Palo Alto University. And thank you for joining the Exit Counseling session today. Exit Counseling is for all graduating students, and this webinar will give you an idea of your financial aid status. Once you complete school, we will discuss student loan repayment and everything that it entails, and I will just go through the presentation and then there'll be questions at the end. So a little bit of just a presentation overview. We're going to do introduction of the financial aid team. If you don't know who they are, we'll do loan terminology, federal loan repayment options, federal loan forgiveness and discharge programs, suspension of payment, delinquency, and helpful information. So our financial aid team, if you have not ever met them before, here they are. Jessica Ayers is our financial aid director. Victoria Madrigal is the senior financial aid counselor. Myself, Erica Lambert, as the financial literacy and outreach coordinator, and Myra Corona, a financial aid advisor. So we'll start off with loan terminology. Master promissory note must be signed before you receive any loan funds. It is a legal document and it gives you the terms and conditions of your loan. Direct subsidized loan, available to undergraduate students with a financial need. You must be enrolled in school at least half-time. No interest accrues while you're in school, and there are fixed interest rates. Direct unsubsidized loan. No requirement for financial need is required. You must be enrolled in school at least half-time status, and you are responsible for paying interest during all periods. And there are also fixed interest rates on the unsubsidized loans. Subsidized loans are only, like I said, are only for undergraduate students. And then your unsubsidized loans are going to be for undergraduate students and graduate students. A lot of people ask what a fixed interest rate is. So a fixed interest rate means that the interest rate will not change and it will stay the same during the life of the loan. Interest rates can be found on studentaid.gov if you're not familiar with what your interest rates may be on your current loans. Direct plus loans and graduate plus loans. So you have to be enrolled in school at least half-time status. With these plus loans, a credit check is required, and the Department of Education just wants to make sure that you don't have any type of adverse credit history and that you have not defaulted on any other student loans. There are fixed interest rates for the life of the loan, and the parent plus loan will enter into repayment once the loan is fully dispersed, but the graduate plus loan will still receive a grace period. And the parent plus loan cannot be transferred to the child. Usually a parent will take out a parent plus loan on behalf of the child to cover any remaining costs for school, as well as that's what the graduate plus loan is for as well for graduate students. If an unsubsidized loan does not cover the full amount of the tuition and fees, then students can receive the graduate plus loan, so for any other educational expenses. Now, your grace period. This is a 6-month period after graduation. Your grace period kind of allows you to look for work, get prepared for, making your payments. No payments are required during your grace period. Plus loans do not have a grace period, which is the parent plus loan, but the graduate plus loan still will acknowledge grace period. And interest will not accrue on your subsidized loans while you're in grace. And you can make payments during your grace period. Unsubsidized loans and graduate plus loans, interest still will accrue during the grace period. And then you have your repayment period. So this is your time your loan payments are due to the servicer. Payments are required regardless of educational outcome or employment status. I just want to go back to touch on interest for a bit. Interest will still be accruing on your loan even if you're not making payments. They will be accruing during your grace period and while you're in school. All the interest that has accrued while you're in school and during grace, once the loans go into repayment, will get added into the principal balance of the loan. And this is called capitalization. So you will in turn essentially pay more than what you actually took out the for the loan for. I always suggest to students that if you are able to make payments during school as well as in grace period, that would definitely be very helpful to you, so that way you won't have as much interest on the loan once the loans are in repayment status. Loan consolidation. All borrowers allows borrowers to combine federal student loans into one loan. Consolidation is free, and you can do consolidation through studentaid.gov, or you can contact your loan servicer. When you consolidate your loans, it extends the terms of your repayment. So instead of the traditional 10 years that your loan would be paid off, your loan would be paid off within 25 years, which essentially makes you have a lower payment. Federal Family Educational Loan Program, FFELP. So this is private lenders provided loans to students guaranteed by the government. This is a very old program, so no new loans were made as of July 1st, 2010. But a lot of times, some students who have gone to school a long time ago and then they get back into school, they may have a FFELP loan. So that's why I always like to put it in the presentation. Loan servicer. So the loan servicer is a federal contractor under the Department of Education to service your student loans. Now, they handle all of your services and options for your federal student loans, and loans may be transferred among servicers. And you can find out who your servicer is at studentaid.gov if they have not contacted you already. And you just always want to make sure that you maintain contact with your servicer. Repayment options. So there's several different repayment options that you can choose from. You have your standard repayment, graduated, extended, and income-driven repayment plans. And studentaid.gov has a loan simulator, which tells you what would be the best repayment plan for you to choose. So your standard repayment plan. This is what your loan servicer will automatically place you on once your loans go into repayment. Usually this payment is going to be very large because the purpose is to make sure that you pay your loans off within 10 years. No eligibility requirements, all loans are eligible for the standard repayment plan. Now, if that's going to be too high for you, then you can request a graduated repayment plan. This pretty much means that payments start off low and then they'll gradually increase during the life of the loan. As the payments are gradually increasing, this will still allow your loan to be paid off within 10 years. This is available upon request. So you would need to contact your loan servicer to ask them if to be eligible for a gradual repayment plan. And then you have your extended repayment plan. So this is going to be fixed or graduated payments, and it's going to extend out to the life of the loan up to 25 years. But you do have to have $30,000 of student loan debt to be eligible for this option. Income-driven repayment plans. So you have revive pay-as-you-earn, income-based, income contingent. So all of the income-driven repayment plans are determined based off of your family size, your loan debt, and your adjusted gross income. A yearly application is required, and you must provide proof of income, whether that be your tax information or paycheck stubs. And it's, they have different, each one has, they use your income as discretionary income. So for revised pay-as-you-earn and pay-as-you-earn, it's 10% of your income. Income base is 15%, and then income contingent will be 20% of your income. So usually income contingent tends to be a little bit higher payment. And there are loan forgiveness options just to be on the IDR plans. If you stay on one plan for 25 years, your loans could potentially be forgiven, but it could be taxable income, meaning that you have to pay back taxes on it. And we talk about forgivenesses and discharges, public service loan forgiveness and discharges. So public service loan forgiveness is very, very popular. Basically, you are required to work in the nonprofit organization sector for 10 years. This does not mean that you're at the same employer for 10 years, but that you're working within the nonprofit sector for 10 years and being on a qualifying repayment plan, making 120 qualifying payments. There is annual employment certification that will need to be filled out by your employer and sent back to your loan servicer. But So you just need to make sure that whoever you're working for is filing as a 501c3 organization, which stands for nonprofit. There are some new rules right now where up until October of 2022 this year, now it does not matter what repayment plan that you are on, as long as you're working in the nonprofit sector. Private loans are not eligible. Consolidated loans on standard repayment plans do not qualify. If you have been paying into PSLF but consolidate, you will lose those prior qualifying payments made. An annual employment certification is required to verify that you are working for a public service organization. Now for discharges. These are some ways that you can get your loan discharged. So if your school closes while you're enrolled and unable to complete the program, that your loan can be discharged. Total and permanent disability, if you are no longer able to work due to physical or mental impairments, then your loan can be discharged. All you have to do is go to contact your loan servicer. They'll give you the applications for you to fill out. You will have to have it signed by a physician, verifying that you are no longer able to work, turn it back in, and then your loans can be discharged. Discharged due to death. You will just need to provide documentations of that person's death certificate to the loan servicer, and the loan will be discharged. And borrower defense to repayment. So if a school has misled or engaged in other misconduct in violation of certain state laws, then your loan will be discharged. Suspension of payments. So we talk about deferments and forbearances. So a deferment entitle is offered by the Department of Education. Interest will not accrue on subsidized loans during deferment periods, and this will allow your account to remain current at all times. So there are several different types of deferment options. The most popular one is economic hardship. This may be granted during a period of financial difficulty. Now, deferment time is limited. So with economic hardship, you have 3 years availability. Once you have exhausted those 3 years, then economic hardship deferment is no longer available to you. You must show that you were on public assistance, and your full-time monthly income and family size must be below the poverty guidelines. If you were in economic hardship, I really would advise more for you to go with an income-driven repayment plan, because then that will free up some of your deferment time. And I would only use a deferment for emergency purposes, because if your income is very low and you have a large family size, you could potentially get a $0 payment on one of the income-driven repayment plans. So kind of always keep that in mind. Maybe you can go on an income-driven plan as opposed to using a deferment or a forbearance, but the option is still available to you. Then you have your in-school deferment. So this may be granted if attending a qualifying school at least half-time, and this is an unlimited time frame that you can always be on in-school deferment. You must have exhausted your grace period, and you must have entered into repayment status to be eligible for in-school deferment. So basically, you're graduating right now, you use your grace period, you go into repayment, but then you decide that you want to go back to school. So then at that time, your loans will automatically go into an in-school deferment. We use a system called a national database system that the loan servicer uses as well, and that will determine to automatically put your loans in the deferment. And then there's unemployment deferment, which may be granted if unemployed or working less than 30 hours a week. And also this is based off of 3 years availability. So once exhausted, this option is no longer available. You must be eligible for unemployment benefits and registered with the employment agency, as well as actively seeking work. Now, once again, this is based off of income, or you're having a hardship, or you're not working, or things like that. Because of that, I would more suggest that you look into an income-driven repayment plan, because this will free up some of your unemployment deferment time, and you can still get a very, very low payment or even a $0 payment on an income-driven repayment plan, as opposed to using up deferment time. Use your deferments and forbearances for really emergency purposes only. Some other deferments would be a graduate fellowship, post-enrollment and military that people usually, these deferments would be a better option for you to use if you fit into these categories. A forbearance. So forbearance is a temporary suspension of payment. Now, when you're on a forbearance, interest still does accrue on your subsidized, your unsubsidized, and your plus loans, but it will allow your account to remain current. Now, there are also several types of forbearances as well. The main one is a general forbearance, which may be granted to borrowers if time is available. There is 36 months availability. So same with the deferments. Once you have exhausted your forbearance time, a forbearance option is you're no longer able to request that. Now, based off of your loan servicer, you can request 12 months at a time, or some servicers may request you to call in every month to get a forbearance. But if you are someone who is calling in a lot to your loan servicer saying that you need a forbearance because you can't make a payment, you either want to look into see if you can use your deferment time to see if you qualify in any of the deferment options, or look into an income-driven repayment plan. The next option is an internship residency forbearance. So it may be granted if you're in medical or dental or other residency programs. Another one that's based off of income is loan debt burden, which may be granted if your total monthly loan payment exceeds 20% of your monthly income. You have to provide proof of income. It's a 12 months per request, and there's 36 months available. So once again, this is based off of income. So if you find yourself in this category, you may be better off with an income-driven repayment plan. I'm going to just keep saying income-driven repayment plan because I think they're the best plans out there as of right now, because at any time that your income can change, you can always get your payments reevaluated. If you had a job and then you lost it in the middle of the year, they'll be able to recalculate your payments based off of what's currently going on right now. And it's unlimited. You can always keep getting this, and it will allow you to still be eligible for public service loan forgiveness. So just always think about looking into income-driven repayment plans. And then you have an emergency disaster forbearance, which may be granted due to a local or natural disaster, and it's 90 days per request. Now we're going to be talking about delinquency, default, and rehabilitation. So delinquency occurs the first day after your due date. So if your due date is on the 1st of every month and you miss the 1st, then you are considered late and delinquent on the 2nd, and you may start getting phone calls from your loan servicer requesting payment. Negative credit reporting is at 90 days at the end of every month, and every 30 days after that, if you're past due. Default happens between 270 to 360 days of delinquency. If you become default, you're going to lose all your options. No more eligibility for federal student aid. There'll be negative credit reporting. The worst things could happen, like wage garnishments, tax offset, your bank account's frozen. I mean, that's the very bad, worst thing that could happen to you. But just because you fall in the delinquency stage does not mean that your loan's technically default. So if you reach day 270 of delinquency, that doesn't automatically let your loans go into default. What will happen, a lot of the loan servicers have specific departments for default management. And so they have these things that they call binders, where in this particular binder, it's all these borrowers who are in these 270 to 360 days. And their responsibility is continuously to keep calling you to see if you can make a payment, if you need to request a forbearance. This would be the best time to get a forbearance, because the forbearance will bring your account current, and it will bring you back in current status. So that way you won't have to keep getting that negative reporting on your credit report. So the loan servicers try to make every effort to help you before it actually goes into official default. Rehabilitation. So a loan that initially defaulted and turned over to the default management and collection systems, you do have to make 9 consecutive payments within 10 consecutive months. And it's based off of income and individual circumstances. So a lot of times a payment could be low as $5. They will send a letter so that way to let you know that your loans have been rehabilitated. Your default status will be removed, and then you'll be eligible to receive additional student aid. And you can only rehabilitate your loan one time. So just kind of some helpful tips. You want to make your payments on time. If you enroll into auto debit, you will receive a 0.25% interest rate reduction. You can receive a federal tax deduction for interest paid on your student loans, a form 1098E that you'll receive during tax time. You are able to change your due date and your repayment plan at any time. And if you have any type of difficulties, questions, or concerns about your loans, please contact the loan servicer because they're the ones who are truly going to help you. They are not trying to bother you or bug you with the phone calls. They essentially really just want to help you so that way you don't make any type of mistakes with your loans. You want to make sure that you get organized and that you use studentaid.gov to determine who your loan servicer is, to look at the different payment plans. You can use the repayment estimator. Studentaid.gov can also help you consolidate your loans. So studentaid.gov is a great resource for you to use. You want to know your eligibility for the loan forgiveness programs and the discharge programs. Just know your loans in general and make payments during deferment and forbearance time if you're able to, because keep in mind that interest still does accrue. And here are just some of the loan servicers. You have Fed Loan Servicing, Granite State, Great Lakes, Ed Financial, Mohila, Navient, Nelnet, OSLA Servicing, just to name a few. So you may fall into one of these categories to just help you with your loans. And if you have any other questions, you can always contact the Office of Financial Aid at 650-433-3824 or by email at financialaid@paloaltou.edu. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, like I said, contact Financial Aid, contact myself. We are more than happy to assist you. Thank you. Bye.